First dungeon! Yay!
This game doesn't have a lot of them.
No. Well, kind of like Ocarina of Time, there were supposed to be more, but they had to cut some out due to time.
Well, Ocarina of Time has like 8 dungeons or so. That's usually the standard amount.
There were supposed to be, like, I think 2 more in Ocarina of Time.
There were supposed to be a couple more in Twilight Princess as well.
Oh, the days of early 3D Zelda, where there were no such thing as delays and things were actually released on time at the expense of less dungeons.
Well, Twilight Princess already has like 15 dungeons, though. Well, not 15.
Yeah,
you know
no,
what I mean.
they're picking up Wind Waker's slack.
Twilight Princess has basically the same number of dungeons as Ocarina, so...
Yeah, but 3 times the delays.
Yeah, and even with the delays, they didn't get all the content they had planned for it. So.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe it just feels like there's more because they're all so long.
Yeah, that is a thing. The Twilight Princess is it's a more spacious game, and as a result, it's more slow paced.
It's stuff like that that makes me dread how long Breath of the Wild will be, because I know it's essentially Zelda and Elder Scrolls have babies.
It seems to me from what they showed in the preview footage at the very least that the dungeons themselves aren't going to be any longer than the. Well, they showed the shrines, not the dungeons. They said there were only like 4 dungeons in the game, so those might be like gigantic.
Basically, it's kind of like it's kind of like Elder Scrolls in the sense that apparently the game has a bunch of random ass dungeon-like things scattered around that aren't necessarily important, but they're there and you can experience them. And it seems like they're smaller affairs than your full-fledged dungeon.
Yeah.
And I think according to Aonum from E3 that if you wanted to just quote unquote beat the game, you could basically just do that right from the start. It'll be insanely hard, but you could do it.
I think it's like you can just walk straight up to the castle and try to kick Ganon's ass, but like if you've got like a stick and no armor, that'll go about as well as you expect. So, speedrun hype.
The stick was the strongest thing in the game.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, it's a surprising element in some open world games. The ones that actually, don't try to baby you and actually risk having a built-in structure, as opposed to, modern Elder Scrolls, which has a tendency to be really beginner friendly no matter where you go. Is that this is the second time in the last 2 weeks I've brought up Fallout in one of our commentaries, but in the original Fallout, you can go to some of the latest areas in the game extremely early if you just ignore the directions you're given and happen to blunder into
What was
them.
this guy doing here?
But Lewis, what does Pro Jared think of Fallout?
I don't know. I've never heard Pro Jared mention Fallout. Why? What?
This is always I've always had this sort of thought in this dungeon. Again, it's like 13, 14-year-old John playing this game, but every time you threw the water bottles on top of the lava pools and the rocks formation that forms out of it, it always kind of reminded me of the top of
A little bit, yeah.
For Pokemon.
I like how you can just pick up the giant cleaver weapon and use it as a buster sword.
So does it break
Nope.
or anything, or can you?
Yeah.
Just throw it away. To hell with your Buster Sword.
Is it stronger than the normal sword?
Right now, yeah.
It has a wider arc.
Yeah, of course, Breath of the Wild is taking that further and just letting you pick up different weapons.
Breath of the Wild is taking it to its logical extreme.
Yeah, weapon degradation. God damn, I hate weapon degradation in every game it's ever in. So I'm not looking forward to that.
God damn it, Fire
At the
Emblem.
very least, from what you could tell, it seemed like at least in the demos, it seemed like they were common. Like you could find sticks and swords all over the place. So if it breaks, there's always another one right.
The ultimate result of that is that when you find a good weapon, you don't want to use it.
Oh, so you'll just have 15 Mega Elixirs by the final boss.
Let me put it this way. In Elder Scrolls, general weapon durability isn't a problem because you can always go and repair your shit. But you'll always end up finding enchanted weapons with added effects that are better than your normal weapons, but you don't want to use them because recharging that shit is going to be a pain in the ass because you don't necessarily have the means to do that during the early game, and once you do have the means to do it, you have to sort of go out of your way for stuff to do it with. like magical items that recharge your weapons and stuff. So what I always wind up doing is having, by the end of the game, just a weapon pack full to bursting with incredible magical weaponry that I've never once used in the entire game.
I recorded Fire Emblem Awakening about a year or two ago for this channel. We'll get to it eventually. But throughout that entire playthrough, I used standard weapons all the way up until the end of the game, and it's only in the final level where I break out, oh, this is my magical tome that I got through Street Pass. And, you know, it's like stuff that, like, increased my damage output by, like, 10 or 15 points.
you treat it like the Mega Elixirs in Final Fantasy. the super special healing items that you never want to use, but it's the final boss, so you might as well just dump them on all your characters.
This mountainside.
Don't you love the wheezing?
Home to annoying enemy noise number 1, and it's this fucking bird.
Why isn't the goddamn... Oh, it's scorched. Okay, yeah, what attention to detail that wooden ladder is merely scorched by the goddamn erupting pillars of magma lava.
Magma lava?
Well, I don't know which one's supposed to be which.
Magma is lava that hasn't been exposed to open air yet, so it's lava once it escapes.
Ow. It's okay, the cliff broke my fall.
Did you respawn when you fell? Okay.
Yeah.
He probably just had to
It'd really suck if you had to go back to Dragon Riz if you fell down.
Yeah, well, look forward to that in Breath of the Wild, because if you fall off an area in an open world game, you gotta climb your ass back up there.
Thanks, Nintendo.
Okay, so here's a question that I have. In the original GameCube release, was the Wind Waker its own button, or was it an
It was an item like Ocarina.
It was an item.
Okay, so
that's another layer of added convenience in this version.
that's something that the 3DS remakes of Ocarina and Majora's Mask did
Yeah.
too, was they made the Ocarina its own button, right?
Yeah, thank God. Because
Yeah.
there's never a time where you don't need it, you know?
Yeah, I was always in my three little...
There's never a time when you don't need it, but there's never a time when you also don't want to have two other things equipped.
Yeah. Not that you know, the Ocarina was a life or death situation, but it felt wrong not having it in your ready-to-go items.
Yeah, it was the same kind of herky-jerk stop-and-go inventory management deal that Link's Awakening had with everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like I was trying to play Link's Awakening a little bit ago. I got a decent amount before kind of getting a little bit annoyed with it. Like, one of the things that annoyed me is, okay, I gotta jump, so I gotta go into my inventory and put in the rock feather, and I gotta put on the Pegasus boots, and I gotta make sure that they're in the right buttons that I want for this jump, and as soon as I make it over the jump, I need to put my sword back so I can actually fight things, and... You know, it's that kind of stuff.
You know, it's not really a huge problem for the game on its own merits. It's more that once you've tasted that extra convenience in A Link to the Past, not having it all of a sudden in Link's Awakening is kind of
It just doesn't make sense to me programming wise why I have to repeatedly equip, especially like the one the power glove, the one that lets you lift up rocks.
Yeah.
You know, that's a separate item in Link's Awakening. You know, in Link to the Past, it was a permanent upgrade that you could just use whenever.
I personally can just blaze through Link's Awakening any day of the week because it was my first Zelda game, so I'm totally used to the inventory shuffle that you're constantly doing with everything. But I can see why it would give other people problems.
Yeah. It's just every Zelda game has a degree of item shuffling. But Link's Awakening, I think, was just so trifle with it.
Yeah. Lack of buttons and not really being as smart as they could have with certain
The Oracle
items.
games were similar, but not quite as bad.
Yeah.
What do they do to fix it in the Oracle?
They have a few of the permanent power-ups actually just be on your person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Oracle games they basically run on the same engine as Link's Awakening, but the game itself is programmed in a slightly more advanced way, some more convenient item usage, and you can actually scroll the screen now instead of having every screen be one screen big.
We've come a long way, ladies and gentlemen.
The Oracle games are okay, like I like them, but they don't click with me as well as Link's Awakening. Like, they have some...
Because there's no Goombas.
It's more that the overall design is more balanced in Link's Awakening, whereas in the Oracle games you have One of the Oracle games is more action heavy, and the other Oracle game is more puzzle heavy. So.
I think that there was originally supposed to be 3. but
Yeah.
that-
Yeah,
that-
there
That
was.
ended up being kind of a clusterfuck, so they brought it down to 2.
Yeah, Zelda Z, which was never a thing.
And
X and Y didn't.
Didn't Capcom?
Yeah,
work
they
on
did the Oracle games in Minish Cap.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Capcom.
I'm surprised that Nintendo loaned out Zelda to a third-party company. Like, I
Especially
mean,
Capcom.
like I mean, I know that they gave Star Fox to Namco, but Star Fox is also not quite as prestigious
Well-
as Zelda.
Nintendo don't care about Star Fox.
Well,
No,
they also gave Metroid to Retro Studios, didn't they?
Well, they
Yeah,
own
no,
Retro
but
Studios.
Nintendo own Retro.
Yeah,
Like,
they're a
technically, I suppose, but it's more like another development studio that they bought. I
Well,
think.
they did also technically give Mario to Sega for the Olympic Games.
That's true.
I don't think Retro actually, as a company, like I'm sure that the people working at Retro worked at other stuff before that, but I think that Metroid Prime was their
Yeah, it
first
was.
game. I think.
Huh.
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'd have to double check that though. I'd have to double check that to be absolutely sure. Like I remember that there were like 5 games that they were planning on making, and the only one that ever came to fruition was Metroid Prime.
They was like, we're giving you Metroid. Cancel them now.
Ah, well. The games they did make were pretty fantastic.
The last Metroid game is in captivity.
I mean, Metroids 2 and 3 had their issues, but they were still fantastic.
Oh, I like Prime 3 a lot. Honestly, I know that the Wii port exists, but I really have a hard time going back to Prime 1's control scheme after playing Prime 3.
I prefer the original, but I don't mind the motion control. I think it works just fine.
It's just, it feels very clunky to me nowadays. I don't know. It's just a difference of opinion, I guess.
Well, your opinion is wrong, Ted.
Oh yeah, well we already know that.
Yeah,
It does look like Vileplume. Holy shit! Like that brief, that brief moment before it completely turns to stone. It looks exactly like Vileplume. Oh my god! It also disintegrates incredibly goddamn quickly.
Well, it's like throwing a Vileplume into liquid hot magma. You monster.
Hey,
Dope.
if you'll put an onyx on the top of an ocean and it can fight just fine, like why would you?
Man,
expect
why
anything
didn't it
different?
auto jump?
That's why auto jumping is kind of bullshit. Like that's actually one thing. I believe Breath of the Wild has a dedicated jump function.
the first
Yeah,
time.
it does.
So
Yeah.
thank you
About
guys.
that time.
A new feature for Zelda. Jumping.
Something Mario's been doing for 3 decades, jumping.
I've been doing that since 1980, and nobody seems
Oh,
to
I'm so
care.
proud of you, Link. It only took you 30 years.
Link's now jump man. Fuck you, Mario.
Hero of the jump.
Being able to jump at will in an open world game is a surprisingly important necessity.
There better be a hidden pair of overalls for armor for Link that doubles your jump height. That needs to be a thing. Because Mario references in Zelda games have actually kind of disappeared.
But they have to be purple. They have to be Waluigi overalls.
Nah, just take it a step further and do Link's Awakening style 2D sections where you're suddenly in a 2D platform and there are Goombas.
See,
Yeah,
Lewis only likes Zelda games with Goombas in it. It's been confirmed here.
I'm thinking if they're gonna like have an upgrade that increases jump height, they're probably just gonna bring back the rock feather.
You're missing the obvious joke. It has to
Mario
be
cap.
Luigi's outfit. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, Luigi just is better than Mario, so you know.
My man knows.
Yeah, but suddenly it's like Link has soap under his shoes.
My man knows.
Yeah, but that's what the iron boots are for.
My man knows.